welcome back to another crochet tutorial. I'm going to show you guys how to make this beautiful crochet halter top. And today I'm in the city of Guadalajara. I've been doing a lot of traveling and being immersed in different cultures. And so seeing all the different artisans and the handmade pieces really inspired this top. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial, and if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And I'll be going over how to crochet this halter top step by step in the size small. If you like the other sizes, or if you prefer to use the written pattern, I'll have that available to buy on my website, and I'll leave a link in the description for anybody who wants that. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And while you're down there, I'm curious to know, where is your favorite place that you've traveled to and why? Let me know in the comments, and now let's get started with the tutorial. So this jean color is the first color that I'll be using, and then the second color is this tan, like golden color. We're also going to use this 3.75 millimeter hook, a yarn needle, scissors, and a measuring tape. So we're going to start off with 5 chains. And then from there we're going to double crochet into this first chain here. And then we're going to chain 1 and then double crochet again into that first chain. Then chain 1, double crochet again into the first chain. So pretty much this first round is going to be a double crochet, a chain space, double crochet, chain space, double crochet, for a total of 12 double crochets and 12 chain spaces. So these first 3 chains here, they count as a double crochet. So we have 4 double crochets and 4 chain spaces. So we're going to continue until we have 12. So I'll show you guys what that looks like once I have 12 double crochets and 12 chain spaces. So I've just completed 12 double crochets, and before I do the very last chain space, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change colors. So I'm just going to take my second color and leave a bit of a tail because we're going to have to hide that later. And then I'm just going to tie a knot. I'm just going to tie a knot, and it doesn't have to be a double knot. Like you can make it a double knot if you feel like it, but in my experience I've used just a single knot, and it stays pretty secure. So from there, put our hook back on. And then from there, I'm going to move this knot all the way up until underneath my working loop. And then now I'm holding my new yarn, and then I'm going to do the last chain. From there, that's when we can cut the previous color. So I'm just going to cut it like about 4 or 5 inches. So I'm just going to find the 3rd chain right here next to it. Insert my hook, and then put the working loop right on the back, pull it through the front, and then that finishes our first round. So now we're going to start off with our second round. This round is going to be made up of double crochet clusters and then 3 chains in between each cluster. So I'm going to crochet 2 chains, and then I'm going to double crochet into this chain space right next to it. So this is the first one. It's not going to look as nice as the other clusters because we have to do the chains, but it will be the same height as the other ones. So that's our first cluster, and then we're going to chain 3. Now in this next chain space right here, we're going to yarn over and then insert our hook in that chain space. Yarn over again, pull it through. Now we have 3 loops on our hook, and we're going to yarn over and bring that yarn through only 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over again, insert it into the chain space, yarn over. Now you have 4 loops. We're going to yarn over and only bring it through those 2 loops. Now we have 3 loops on our hook, and we're going to yarn over and bring that yarn through all 3. So that's a cluster of 2 double crochets. So then we're going to chain 3, and then into that next chain space we're going to do the same thing. So I'll explain it one more time. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that chain space, yarn over again, pull it through. Now we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, and bring that yarn through 2 of the loops. So that's essentially half of our first double crochet. And then we're going to yarn over again, insert it into the chain space, yarn over. Now we have 4 loops on our hook, yarn over and bring it through 2 of those loops. So that's the other half of our second double crochet. So this next one is actually going to finish off both double crochets. So we're going to yarn over and then just bring it through all 3. So that was 3 double crochet clusters, and we're going to continue until we get all the way around. That's going to be a total of 12 double crochet clusters. So I'll show you guys what that looks like once I complete 12. So I just completed 12 double crochet clusters, and now I'm going to finish it off with the 3 chains. And then to finish this round, I'm going to do the same thing that I did in the previous round. So just find that 3rd chain, insert your hook, put the working loop right here on the back, pull it through that 3rd chain to the front. That finishes our second round. And then from here, to start our 3rd round, we're going to start it off with a slip stitch into this next stitch. So I'm just going to insert my hook into the next stitch, yarn over, bring it through, and then through the loop on my hook. From here, this is where I'm going to change colors again. And then after that slip stitch is where I'm going to change colors. So I'm going to get my second color, and I'm just going to tie a knot with a bit of a tail. Just make sure that the knot is pretty tight. And then we're going to push this knot up to right underneath the hook. And then from there we can actually snip the color from the previous round. I'm going to leave a long tail of like 4 or 5 inches. And then once I've changed the color, I'm going to chain 1, and then into this space right here, I'm going to insert my hook and single crochet. So do 1 single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 3. And then into the next space, I'm going to single crochet. And then into this next space, I'm going to double crochet 5 times. Now we're just going to scoot all of these double crochets to the side here. Then we're going to chain 3. And then we're going to double crochet into that same space 5 more times. So that's why I'm like making room for the next 5 double crochets. So and then this is the last one. 5. And then into the next space, we're going to single crochet. Then we're going to chain 3. And then into the next space, single crochet. And then into the next space, we're going to double crochet 5 times, chain 3, and then double crochet 5 times again. So just repeat this entire process right here into the next space. So I'll show you guys one more time. the first double crochet, second. Into this next space, we're going to single crochet and then chain 3, single crochet into the next space. Then we're going to repeat the pattern, so we're going to repeat this edge right here of the 5 double crochets, 3 chains, and then 5 double crochets, and then single crochet, 3 chains, single crochet, and then once again another edge right here. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. Just continue in the same exact pattern. So there's 2 more edges right here so that it'll make a square. So I continued the same exact pattern all the way around until I met the very beginning of the round. Then to finish off this round, what I'm going to do a slip stitch. I'm going to turn this around and then insert my hook into that very first chain right there. Then I'm going to put my working loop in front of it, and then I'm going to pull it through to the back. Once it's here in the back, I'm going to just chain 2, and then I'm going to cut the yarn about 4 or 5 inches of the tail. Then I'm going to leave about 4 or 5 inches of tail, and then just pull the yarn through, push down those chains, and then it's secure. And as you can see, there's a ton of tails here, which are kind of hard to hide when you're doing a lot of different stitches and stuff. So we're going to just hide them with our yarn needle. So I'm just going to insert my yarn into my needle, and then I'm going to just stay in the area of the color of the tail. So this tail is a tan color, so I'm going to stay in the area where it's tan, so that way it doesn't show. I'm going to go into these stitches here. I'm probably just going to go all the way around. That's probably going to be the easiest way. And what you want to do, you want to make sure that you're going into the middle of the stitches so that it doesn't show in the front. My needle right now is in the middle of the stitch, that's why it's not bringing, that's why you can't see it in the front. I'm just going to continue to go all the way around until my tail gets shorter. And if you want to be super secure about it, you can go in the direction that you came, but make sure you don't just go right into where this tail is coming out of. Like, you need to go over the stitch so that it doesn't just undo what you just did. So once you feel like you've hidden your tail enough and it's secure and it won't come back out, then you can just cut the tail. And I'm just going to continue doing that with each tail. So I'm going to just go around and around and around, making sure that it's in the middle of my stitches. And then also making sure that you stay within the color so that if it does peek through to the front, you won't be able to see it. Like, it'll blend in. So I'm going to continue hiding these tails, and I'll show you guys what it looks like once I've completed that. So here's the completed motif. I hid all the loose tails on the back. Now we're going to repeat this same process 3 more times. So you want a total of 4 of these motifs. We're going to connect the next 3, so that's a long strip of 4 of these motifs. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that, but you're going to start with the same exact process. So it's the same pattern, but the only difference is going to be in the 3rd round. So that's where we're going to connect it. So I'm gonna start my next motif, and I'll show you guys what to do once you get to the third round. So I'm just starting out my third round in my second motif. So I just changed the color to my second color, and this is where I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet into that space, and then I'm going to chain 3, then in the next space single crochet, and then in the next space this is going to be a corner. So I'm going to start off with 5 double crochets, then I'm going to kind of push these to the side, and here's where I'm going to do my 3 chains, but in my second chain is where I'm going to attach my motif. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to grab my motif, and in this chain 3 space here in this corner, that's where I'm going to bring my working loop through. And then from there I'm going to finish up my 3 chains. So that was 1 chain, and then this is my second chain, and then this is my third chain. So that's connected in the second chain. So after I've done my 3 chains, I'm going to finish my corner here by double crocheting 5 more times. Alright, so that's my 5th double crochet. Now into the next space here, I'm going to single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 3, but again I'm going to attach my first motif. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go to my chain 3 space right here on my first motif. I'm going to insert my hook, bring that working loop through that chain space, and then I'm going to finish my other 2 chains. That was my first chain right here, and then I'm going to do 2 more chains, 2 and 3. And then into this next space is where I'm going to single crochet. And then in the next space is going to be another corner, and we're going to attach it the same way that we did with our previous corner. So start off with 5 double crochets, push these to the side to make room for our next double crochets, and then we're going to do 3 chains, but we're going to insert our working loop into this chain 3 space here on the second chain. So from here we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to bring this working loop through our chain 3 space little corner on the first motif, and then we're going to chain 2 more, which makes 2 and 3. Then we're going to finish off our corner here with 5 more double crochets. That is how we're connecting these motifs. As you can see, they're interconnected in 3 places, right here, and right here. So we're gonna just continue the same way that we did with the first one. We're going to finish our pattern all the way around, connect it, and then with the next 2 motifs, you're gonna do the same exact process of connecting in the corners until you've connected all 4 of them. So continue the same pattern for the motifs and the same technique of connecting in those 3 points for the next 2 motifs as well. So I'm gonna finish that up and I'll show you guys what that looks like once I've connected and completed my 4 motifs. So I'm gonna start with a slip knot, and then for our foundation, I'm gonna crochet 40 chains. So I have 40 chains here. Now to start row number 1, I'm going to double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. Now I know normally you would double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, but for this pattern I'm only using 2 turning chains for the double crochet. So I'm going to double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook, so not this one, but this one right here. Alright, now these 2 chains here are not going to count as a double crochet. So I'm going to double crochet into each one of these foundation chains. Each one of these foundation chains all the way across. So when you complete the row, you should have 38 double crochets, and again, that's not counting the first 2 chains in the row. So I'm going to complete that and I'll show you guys what that looks like when I complete the row. So here's the very last double crochet in this row. So you should have a total of 38 double crochets in row number 1. Now to move on to row number 2, we're going to chain 2, and these 2 chains are our turning chains. So I'm going to turn my work. Now from here, I'm going to double crochet into the very first stitch, because these 2 turning chains, I'm not counting them as a double crochet. So we're just going to double crochet into that very first stitch. And then we're going to double crochet into every stitch from here. And we're going to keep the same amount of double crochets in each of these rows. So that's a total of 38 double crochets. So I just wanted to show you guys briefly that I'm only using 2 chains as the turning chains. Also, I'm not counting those 2 chains as a double crochet. So I'm going to continue adding rows just like this with 38 double crochets with the same exact technique that I just showed you for a total of 19 rows. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like once I've completed 19 rows of 38 double crochets. Alright, so here's how it looks like after I've completed 19 rows of 38 double crochets. So pretty much it's just a box. Each row I kept the same amount in every single row. Now to move on to row number 20, we're going to begin to decrease. To start row number 20, we're going to start it off the same way that we have been, by crocheting 2 chains, turning our work over, and then I'm going to double crochet into that first stitch, and I'm going to double crochet across this row for 14 double crochets. So to double crochet 2 stitches together, all you gotta do is yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over again. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Then you're gonna yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over again, pull it through. Now you should have 5 loops on your hook. Then we're gonna yarn over, bring it through 4 of those loops. Now you should have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and then bring it through those 2 loops. So as you can see, those 2 stitches are now 1 stitch for the next row. So we're going to continue to decrease by 1 stitch in each row for the next 8 rows. So until we complete row 28. But I do want to show you guys one more row just so you can see how it is when you're going the opposite direction. So we're gonna crochet 2 chains, turn over our work. So we want to continue decreasing like this. To give you guys an idea, I have another panel that I already completed. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to decrease like this. See that? So I'm going to decrease right here by double crocheting 2 stitches together right here. We're going to yarn over, insert our hook into this first stitch, yarn over, pull it through. We've got 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, and then we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull it through. We have 5 loops on our hook. Then we're going to yarn over and bring it through 4 of those loops. Now you're going to have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and then bring it through both of those loops. So then we're just going to double crochet in each stitch across. So when you're done, you should have 14 double crochets instead of 15 from the last row because we just decreased by 1 stitch. So when you finish row number 21, you should have 14 double crochets. So I'm gonna count this. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So remember, these 2 chains at the beginning don't count as a double crochet. Now we're gonna continue to decrease by 1 stitch in each row until we've completed row 28. So just continue that same exact process from the last 2 rows. Just continue those until you complete row 28. So here's what it looks like when I've completed 28 rows. Then starting with row number 20, we started decreasing by 1 here, and then we ended with 7 double crochets in row number 28. So from here, we are going to fasten this off. So now we're going to repeat this entire process and make another panel. That will be the second half of our halter top. Alright, now once you've repeated that process and created 2 identical panels, now we're going to move on to actually connecting this middle piece with the panels. So how we're going to do that is using a slip stitch. So I'm going to start with just 1 panel at a time. And then from here, I'm going to flip it over to the wrong side. Make sure that the wrong side is facing you. These panels are pretty much the same on both sides, but the motifs definitely do have a front side. So just make sure that the wrong side is facing you. Then as you can see, I still have some weaving in to do with all my loose ends, but I'm gonna get to that later. So to connect the side panel to the crochet motif strip, there's 2 ways that you can go about it. The first option is just to keep it simple and slip stitch all the way across the 2 panels. And this is the option that I actually recommend most. Or the second option is a different style seam that will have open slits on the front. And the way that you get that is by slip stitching only in the chain 3 spaces of the motif. So you can do it either way. What I would say is that the second method is probably not the best method if you have a bigger bust. Those little slits will probably open up more than I intended them to. So if you want to play it on the safe side, definitely go with the first option and just slip stitch all the way across. And we're going to do the same exact thing with the other side. So now that we have the body complete, we're going to start on the trim, and we're going to start up here at the top with our second color. So I'm going to start here with a slip knot. Alright, so I'm going to start here at the top corner, and I'm gonna bring my slip knot to the back. So I'm gonna insert my hook into this very first stitch right here, and then I'm gonna put the slip knot right on the back of my hook. And then I'm just gonna do a slip stitch. So just yarn over, bring it through both of those loops. Bring it through both of the loops on your hook, and then now it's connected. We're just gonna start off with 2 chains, but we're actually going to do it into this space over here. So we're skipping this entire last row and we're going into this previous row. So this was row number 28, and then we're not going to double crochet into that row, we're going to double crochet into row 27. So let me just show you guys. It's this space right here, it corresponds with where we're at. And then you just kind of pull it and double crochet. So as you can see, it created this like spike. So that's exactly what we want. And then into this next stitch, we're just going to double crochet like normal, like you normally would. And then into the next stitch, we're gonna skip it. So we're not going to double crochet into this stitch right here. We're gonna double crochet into this opening right here, this space. So it actually covers the stitch that you would have gone into. And then into the next stitch, we're going to double crochet. And our next stitch is going to be this space right here. And then double crochet into the next stitch. And then we're gonna do our last spike, which is gonna go in this space right here. Double crochet into this next stitch right here. So you can see how the spike went into this space, skipped a space, then we did another spike, skipped a space, spike, space, spike. So moving on, we are going to double crochet pretty much like normal across this top of the motif. So I'm going to double crochet 1 time into this space, this corner space right here. Then I'm going to double crochet in each one of these stitches. Then once you get to this next space, I'm just going to double crochet 1 time. And then just double crochet into each one of these stitches. Alright, and then here is the other corner space that I'm going to double crochet into as well. So I'm going to start with a double crochet into this very first stitch right here. Then the next stitch is going to be our first spike. So I'm going to just yarn over, and then instead of double crocheting into this stitch right here, I'm going to double crochet into this space from the previous row. So you kind of just give it a little bit of slack as you're coming back up, and then just finish off the double crochet like normal. Then I'm going to double crochet into the next stitch. And then our next double crochet is going to go into this space right here. And then our last spike stitch is going to go down into this space. just like that. Then from here, we're going to just fasten this off. So we fasten this off, and now we're gonna do the same exact thing that we did up here on the bottom. So I'm just gonna turn everything around. And we're gonna start in this corner down here. So I have my slip knot here, and then beginning in this bottom corner, I'm gonna insert my hook into this very first stitch. Place the slip knot on the back of the hook, and then just do a slip stitch. From here, I'm going to chain 2. So I'm going to double crochet into that same stitch. Next, I'm going to do my first spike. So instead of double crocheting into this stitch right here, I'm going to double crochet into this space. Then I'm going to double crochet into this stitch here. Then double crochet into this space, and then I'm just gonna continue alternating between a regular double crochet and then a double crochet into that space from the previous row, just like I did on the top. So I'm gonna do that all the way across here until I get to this area, and then I'm just going to double crochet in the same way that I did on the top, and then repeat that process until I get to the very end. So I'll show you guys what that looks like once I've completed it until the end. So I completed that bottom edging, and now I'm going to start to single crochet all the way around the entire thing. So I'm going to start in this corner over here where I left off. So I'm going to start with 1 chain. Then I'm going to single crochet, and then we're going to continue to single crochet all the way across. So we're going to continue to single crochet all the way across, and I'll show you guys what to do once you get to a corner. So I'm coming up to the corner here, and now on this stitch, that corner stitch, what I'm going to do, I'm going to single crochet twice into that stitch. And that kind of allows me a nice turn, which you'll notice once I actually turn it. So now I'm going to go into the next stitch and just single crochet across in every stitch. So you can see how that helped us have a smoother turn here. So I'm going to continue to single crochet all the way across here up to this top corner. So I'll show you guys what to do once you get to this top corner. Alright, so I'm coming up to the last stitch, that top corner, and in that very top corner we're going to single crochet, and then we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet in that same exact stitch. So the reason why we're doing that is because, well, later on I'll show you, but we're going to attach our straps through that chain 1 space, okay? So then across the top here, we're just going to single crochet all the way across. Alright, so I'm going to continue to single crochet across this top part here, and I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did in this corner. I'm going to do it on this corner. And then I'm going to single crochet down, around, and I'm actually going to single crochet across the bottom. And then that's where I'm going to end. So just continue single crocheting across here, all the way around and across the bottom. And then you just fasten off right here, and then I'll show you guys how to do the next step. So I went all the way around, and then here I'm going to end here at the bottom corner. Now to finish it off, I'm going to insert my hook into that very last stitch, and I'm going to do a slip stitch. And then I'm going to turn it over, and then into the next stitch, I'm going to go in from the back and bring that working loop to the back. And then from there, I'm just going to fasten it off. So that will kind of blend in the corners so that it'll look like this other corner here, like a smooth type of corner. Then you're going to take the color that you just used, and you're going to cut 5 pieces of yarn at 70 inches each piece. This is going to be what we use for our straps. So we're going to turn this over. Now to start on our first strap, we're going to insert our hook into this chain space that we left in the corner. Then you're going to take your yarn. Then you're going to pull all 5 of those strands through that space. And then I'm going to pull it until the halfway point. So that's folded in half. And then now I have 10 strands. So I'm going to continue to pull the yarn through until it meets the halfway point. Then it'll be folded in half. And then with these 10 pieces of yarn, I'm going to separate them into 3 strands so that I can braid it. So for the 3 strands, I have 3 in this strand, I have 4 in the middle, and then 3 on this end. So obviously it's not going to divide evenly because it's 10, so we're just going to divide it as evenly as possible. Then I'm going to take a piece of tape. I'm going to tape this down. Then you're just going to take the strands and just start to braid. Now one tip that I do have is that since these strands are kind of long, you do want to untangle them as you go. So as you're braiding, it can start to get tangled down here, and you just want to kind of pull up on the strands as you're braiding, and then that way it doesn't get knotted. Then once you get to the end, like with about 4 inches left, you're just going to tie a knot. And then you can just trim these ends here. Now you're going to do the same exact thing on the other side. Now to close up the back, we're going to create another strap, a braided strap like this, except this time you're going to need to cut 9 pieces of yarn at 110 inches each piece. So once you've cut 9 pieces of yarn at 110 inches each, we're going to just tie a knot here at the end and leave about 2 inches for a tassel. And then we're going to tape this to the table so that it makes it easier for us to braid. Now with those 9 pieces of yarn, we're going to separate them by 3s to create 3 strands for our braid. And this is going to be a really long braid, so you want to make sure that your separating the strands as you're braiding so that it doesn't get tangled. So I'm just going to start braiding. So as I'm going, I'm pulling on the strands to keep them from getting tangled. Once you get to like the last 4 inches, then we're going to tie a knot with all of the strands and then just clean up the ends and then just trim the ends to make a clean tassel. Now to lace up the back, I'm going to start in this corner and I'm going to use a bigger hook. I'm using a 5mm hook, and then I'm just bringing it through from the back to the front. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then from there, we're going to cross them. And then about 6 or 7 rows down, we're going to pull the braid through on this side. And then on the other side as well. And we're going to cross it again. And then that's it. You can easily just tie it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Again, if you'd like the written version of this pattern with all the sizes, you can buy that on my website, and I'll leave a link in the description. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so that you're updated with all my newest crochet tutorials. I plan on doing a matching skirt with this top, so you definitely don't want to miss that. I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here and for watching till the very end. And yes, I do have a quote of the week for you guys. And I don't know exactly who said this or whose quote this is, but I saw it on a wall and it could not sum up this trip better for me. And so the quote is, if the plan doesn't work out, change the plan, not the goal. So that is very relevant for me, especially these past few months. As some of you guys may know, me and my husband decided to take a 3-month trip to Costa Rica, and we actually ended up leaving Costa Rica because we're having all kinds of tech issues. My computer broke, my phone broke, I got locked out of my Google account, and so I was not able to even post videos on YouTube or like access my email, so that was really hard. And they don't have any certified Mac stores or even certified like third-party repair shops in Costa Rica, so we had to come, well, we just decided last minute to come to Mexico to not only continue traveling but visit family and hopefully repair our tech. Turns out my phone cannot be repaired and my computer can be repaired, but it's super expensive here because of the fact that everything's imported from the US. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that the plan did not go as we expected it. Yes, we did expect some challenges along the way, but we did not expect my computer to go out. That is something that we did not prepare for, but at the same time, our goal was to come out here to learn and to grow and to continue creating and putting out things that challenge us creatively, and to travel and explore as we're working. And that's still the goal. Yes, the plan is changing, it seems like it's changing every day because there's new things that are coming up that we're trying to fit into our schedule and just work around. The plan is changing every day, and it's really forced me to take a step back and actually come up with a strategy and come up with a plan for the year. So I'm grateful for that, because normally I'm somebody that just goes with the flow. Like if I come up with an idea, I just go with it and I don't have such a long-term plan. But being disconnected and not able to do the things that I would normally do on a daily basis kind of forced me out of my daily routine and forced me to think about things that I normally kind of just think about momentarily. So what I'm trying to say is that there is always a positive that can come out of a situation. No matter how screwed up it looks like, it's all about your perspective. So if you look at it and you're like, this is terrible, there's nothing good about this, like that's what you're gonna get out of it. But if you look at it and you're like, okay, this happened for a reason, what is something good that I can see in this? Because if you can do that, if you can find the good in the chaos, then you're never going to feel like you wasted your time. Like if I can find something good out of this experience, I would feel so upset and like I just wasted time. But I really don't. I don't feel like I'm wasting time. I feel like I'm learning and growing in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do if I was just in my comfort zone at home. So like what I've learned over the last 2 months, I don't feel like I could have learned in 2 years of being in my comfort zone. So I'm thankful for that, and everything's still moving forward and the trip is still going on. We did contemplate ending it early and just going back home early, like a month early, but both me and my husband didn't feel satisfied with giving up on this trip. So we found a way to make it work, and I'm really excited for what's to come. So I just wanted to share that experience with you guys. Hopefully it'll encourage you in whatever you're going through, whatever situation you're in. Just kind of flip your perspective and think about what good can come out of this, because I promise you there's always, always, always something good that can come out of it. So with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Stay creating. If you want to hit me up on Instagram with this top that you made or anything else that you're crocheting or that you're making, I would love to see it, and I hope to see you guys on the next video. Bye.